In the heart of the African savannah, where the golden grass swayed like a sea under the warm sun, there lived two brothers whose lives could not have been more different. The elder brother, Abasi, was a name that once filled every household with dread. As a young man, he was known for his wild ways and dark deeds. He stole from his neighbors, cheated his friends, and lied to everyone who dared trust him. Abasi was a scourge, a storm that brought shame upon his family and sorrow to his parents. His younger brother Kamau watched as their parents aged with prematurely, their faces etched with lines of worries and pain. Their mother would often sit by the fire, staring into the flames as if hoping they would burn away the shame Abasi had brought upon them. Their father grew quiet and withdrawn, his eyes heavy with disappointment. Kamau vowed never to forgive Abasi for the suffering he caused. When their parents passed away, their hearts broken by their son's misdeeds, Kamau's hatred only deepened. In his eyes, Abasi was a ghost that haunted their family, a ghost that could never be forgiven. Years passed and the village almost forgot about Abasi. He had disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only the bitter memories of his wrongdoings. Kamau grew into a man, married a beautiful woman named Nia, and had two children. He worked hard on his small farm, and though his life was humbled, he was content. Yet the shadow of his brother lingered, a dark cloud over his happiness. Then one scorching afternoon, as Kamau was returning from the field, he saw a figure in the distance. The sun's glare made it hard to see clearly, but as the figure approached, Kamau's heart froze. It was Abasi. He was dressed neatly in a clean white shirt, and his once wild hair was now cut short and tidy. He walked with a confidence that was unfamiliar to the villagers, who stared at him with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Abasi went straight to Kamau's heart, his heart pounding with hope and fear. He had returned to make amends, to seek forgiveness and rebuild the bond with his only remaining family. He knocked on the door and waited. Kamau opened it, his eyes narrowing as he saw his brother standing there, hopeful, smile on his face. "Come on, my brother," Abbas began, his voice filled with emotion. "I have returned to right my wrongs. I have changed truly. I seek your forgiveness and the chance to be part of this family again." But Kamau's face remained cold, his eyes dark with resentment. "Think you can just walk back into our lives and expect everything to be forgotten?" He spat. "You are not welcomed here, Abbas. leave and never come back. Abbas's heart sank, but he did not leave. He stayed in the village, determined to prove that he had stayed changed. He began helping the elders with their chores, mending broken roofs, and sharing the little he had with those in need. Slowly, some villagers began to see the sincerity in his actions and started to forgive him. They saw a different man from the one who had caused so much pain. But Kamau was not convinced. His hatred for his brother only grew as he saw Abbas's efforts to reintegrate into the community. He made it his mission to remind everyone of Abbas's past, telling anyone who would listen about the terrible things his brother had done. Whenever Abbasi tried to find a wife among the villagers, Kamau would intervene, whispering in the women's ears about his brother's dark history. No woman wanted to marry a man with such a tarnished past, and Abbasi's heart broke a little more each time. Realizing that his chance of finding a wife in his village was slim, Abbasi decided to search elsewhere. He traveled to a distant village far beyond the hills that bordered their lands. It was there that he met Abeni, a woman whose beauty was only surpassed by her kindness. Abeni was drawn to Abbasi's gentle nature and his stories of redemption. She saw in him a man who had been through the fire and emerged purified. After a time, they married, and Abeni agreed to return with Abbasi to his village. When they arrived, the villagers were curious about Abbasi's new bride. Abeni was different. She carried herself with grace and spoke with a warmth that immediately endeared her to the community. She participated in village life with enthusiasm, helping the women with their daily tasks, listening to the elders' stories, and even teaching the children songs from her homeland. Slowly by slowly, the village began to accept Abbasi again, seeing how much he had changed and how his wife's love has transformed him. Kamau, however, could not bear to see his brother happy. His jealousy burned like a flame in his chest, and his resentment only grew as he saw Abbasi and Abeni's success. Abbasi's farm flourished under their combined effort, while Kamau's own farm struggled due to his neglect and bitterness. His wife Nia tried to console him, but Kamau's heart was too hardened. He blamed Abbasi for everything, convinced that his brother's return had brought bad luck upon him. Consumed by this hatred, Kamau began to plot against Abbasi. He set traps on Abbasi's farm, hoping to sabotage his crops. He spread vicious rumors about Abeni, accusing her of using witchcraft to deceive the villagers and make them forget Abbasi's past. The villagers, however, were not swayed. They had seen Abbas's change with their own eyes, and Abeni's goodness was undeniable. One night, driven by desperation, Kamau decided to take drastic action. Under the cover of darkness, he crept onto Abbas's farm with a torch in hand. He set fire to the granary, hoping to destroy his brother's livelihood and force him to leave the village once and for all. The flames quickly spread, lighting up the night sky and threatening to engulf the entire farm. Abasi and Abeni were jolted awake by the smell of smoke and the sound of cracking flames. They rushed outside and saw the inferno raging. Without hesitation, they grabbed buckets of water and began to fight the fire. The villagers, seeing the blaze from their homes, rushed to help. Together, they formed a chain, passing buckets of water and doing everything they could to save Abbas's farm. After what felt like hours, the fire was finally extinguished. The granary was destroyed, but thanks to the villagers' quick action, the rest of the farm was spared. As the smoke cleared, the villagers gathered around, their faces sombered and tired. They murmured amongst themselves, wondering who could have done such a thing. Abasi, in his heart heavy, suspected his brother, but said nothing. He looked around and saw Kamau standing in the shadows, his face hidden, but his guilt evident in his eyes. The next day, Abasi went to Kamau's hut. He found his brother sitting alone, his face pale and drawn. Abasi looked at him with eyes filled with sadness. Kamau, I know you did this, he said softly. Why, brother? Why? Why do you hate me so much? Kamau's eyes flashed with anger. You don't get to play the victim, Abasi, he snarled. You think you can erase the past with a few good deeds? You think you can make everyone forget what you did to our family? You don't deserve forgiveness. Abasi sighed, his shoulder slumping. I know I can never change the past, Kamau. I know I hurt our family and brought shame to our name. But I have spent every day since then trying to make up for it. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to see that I am not the same man I was once. I just want a chance to be your brother again. But Kamau was not ready to listen. His heart was full of anger and pain. He turned away from Abbas, refusing to acknowledge his brother's prayer. As Abbasi left, his head hung low. Kamau felt a pang of guilt deep in his chest, but he quickly pushed it away, burying it under layers of resentment. Days turned into weeks, and Kamau's bitterness continued to consume him. His farm suffered, his family struggled, and his life grew harder with each passing day. The villagers began to notice Kamau's decline and grew concerned. They saw the pain in his eyes and the anger in his words and the darkness in his heart. One day, the village elders called a meeting, hoping to find a way to heal the rift between the brothers. The elders gathered under the large baobab tree at the center of the village. Mama Nyaboke, the eldest and the wisest among them, spoke first. Kamau, my son, we see the pain you carry in your heart, but holding on to hatred will only bring more suffering. Your brother has shown his change through actions, not words. He has earned his place in this community. It is time for you to let go of the past and embrace the future. Kamau listened, his eyes fixed on the ground. He knew Mama Nyaboke was right, but the anger inside him was like a poison, eating away at his soul. He looked up at the elders, his eyes filled with tears. I don't know how to forgive him, he admitted, his voice choked with emotion. He took everything from me. How? How? How can I just forget? Mama Nyaboke reached out and took Kamau's hand. Forgiveness is not about forgetting, my son. It's about releasing the burden you carry. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of the past and allowing your heart to heal. Your brother has changed and he seeks your forgiveness, not to erase his wrongs, but to start anew. Let go of the anger. Kamau, let it go. Let it go for your sake and for the sake of your family. Kamau's tears flowed freely now, the weight of years of bitterness finally breaking him. He nodded slowly, unable to speak, the emotions choking him. He felt the hands of the elders on his shoulders, felt the strength of their support, and for the very first time in years, he felt sliver of peace enter his heart. Later that day, Kamau found Abasi at the edge of the village, repairing a fence that had been damaged in the fire. Abasi looked up, surprised to see his brother. Kamau stood there for a moment, then took a deep breath. Abasi, I have been unfair to you. I have let my hatred blind me to the man you have become. I see now that you have changed, and I want to change too. I want to be your brother again, if you'll have me. Abasi's eyes filled with tears as he stepped forward and embraced Kamau. Of course, brother. I have waited for this moment for so long Together, we can heal and build a better future for our family and our village. As they stood there holding each other, the villagers gathered around, cheering and clapping. A Benny standing nearby smiled with tears in her eyes, grateful for the miracle of forgiveness she had witnessed. She knew then that love and redemption had triumphed over hatred and bitterness. From that day on, Abasi and Kamau worked together side by side to rebuild not just their farm but their bond as brothers. Kamau found solace in letting go of his hunger and his heart began to heal. Abasi, grateful for the chance to make amends, dedicated himself to helping his brother and their community to strive. The village, inspired by the brothers' reconciliation, became a place of unity and strength, where forgiveness was valued above all. The story of Abasi and Kamau spread far and wide, a tale of redemption that touched many hearts. And as the sun set over the savannah, casting a warm golden glow over the village, the two brothers stood together, their faces turned towards the horizon, ready to face the future as a family once more. And so the lesson was clear. No matter how dark the past, the light of forgiveness can always lead the way to a brighter tomorrow.